Hello friends, welcome to a series of videos on data analysis using pandas, and in this specific video we will go through data aggregation using pandas and mainly focus on the group by method available in pandas library. So first of all, what do we mean by aggregation? Aggregation is basically summarization of data. For example, let's say someone gives you a data frame that contains thousands of records. So we can't make sense of it as it is. We need to answer certain questions from that data which involve summarization, and that is where aggregations come in handy. For example, your boss might want to know what were the sales in the last quarter, what were the average sales for a particular product, how many total units were sold for a particular category. So to answer all of these questions, we need to aggregate data, and the group by method in pandas helps us in doing so. So let's jump over to the Colab for a while. So here, for the purpose of illustration of group by, I have taken the famous Titanic dataset from Kaggle, and here we see that uh, we have different columns in this data frame. You can read the description about this particular dataset on Kaggle. So just to summarize, this provides information around uh, which passengers survived the Titanic incident that happened in 1913. So let's say uh, we want to know how many people survived versus how many people did not survive when the Titanic sank. So what we do here is that we use the group by method, and we group by this entire data frame by the survived column, right? So what this particular expression does is it groups this data frame by the survived column, and then what we do over here is we extract the survived column itself out of the entire data frame, and we say that we want to aggregate via count function. Let's run it to see what we get. So when we run this cell, we see that it gives us a series, and we see here that 549 people did not survive, whereas 342 people survived, right? So let's take another example, right? Now, this P class column in the data set shows us uh, what was the class, passenger class in which uh, passengers were traveling, and this age column just tells us about their age. Now, let's say we want to know that what was the average age across different classes, right? So, what we'll do here is that since we want to find average age across classes, we'll first group by this data frame by the P class column, right? And then since we want to operate on the age column and we want to find the average age, we just uh, take the age column, use the mean function, right? So what we get over here is that class and the average age, right? Now similar thing can be achieved as we saw above using the ag function, right? So here we are doing the same thing, but we are saying dot ag, and this dot ag method takes a function, or it can also take a list of functions, right? It can also take dictionaries. We'll see it in the example below. We're doing the same thing here, but now what we are doing is we are using a dictionary. So to find the average age by across classes, what we do is df.group by using p class, then we directly use the ag method, and then we use or provide dictionary as argument to this method, and the key of this dictionary is the column on which we want to operate, and the value is the function that we want to use. So let's run it and see what we get. Passenger class and the average age. Now what we can also do is we can also pass list of functions to the ag method, right? Now what we are saying that we want to group by the sex field, and for the age column what we want to do is we want to find how many rows contain non-zero values, what is the mean, what is the standard deviation for the age column, right? So we run it and we get the output that we have two genders over here, male female, and then we have the following results in terms of the functions that we passed to the aggregate method. What we can do is we can aggregate via multiple columns as well. Let's say we want to answer the question that for the two genders, what is the distribution of survived people by class, right? So we want to know that for male, how many males in class 1 2 3 survived versus how many females in class 1 2 3 survived. So what we do here is that we group by two columns, and when we want to group by two columns we have to pass a list now, right? So we provide a list of two columns, and then we provide the column on which we want to operate, and then we provide the we use the aggregate method and we provide the function, aggregation function. Here we can see that we get the values that for females what was the percentage of people who survived. So we can see here clearly that females who were traveling in first class, 96.8% of the females survived, whereas males who were traveling in third class, only 13% of the males could survive, right? Similar to what we saw previously, we can aggregate using multiple columns, and then we can group by multiple columns, and then we can pass the functions that we want to aggregate by as a list to the .ag method. Similarly here, along with the mean, we are also getting the sum of people who survived in different classes. So this is how we use that group by method in Pandas. Since now we have seen the examples, I want to go back and try to explain how it works internally. The group by method works on the lines of something known as the split apply combine methodology, which was coined by Hadley Wickham, who has written some awesome packages in the R language. So how it works is that first we group by using a column. So in the example we saw, we can group by using the passenger class column. So what it does is that it splits our data frame by the column that we used to group by. So internally what Pandas did, Pandas split our data frame by the P class column, right? So since we had three passenger classes, our data frame was split into three groups, and then what happens is that you apply a function. So we applied an aggregation function like mean, standard deviation, or count. So on each of the splits you apply an aggregation function, and then we come to the combine part where all these outputs after the application of an aggregate function, the outputs are combined to give you the final result. So this is how group by works in Pandas. I hope you liked the video. In case you want further details or you want to know more aggregation methods, please comment and I'll make another video that explains some of the more complicated or complex ways of aggregating Pandas data frame. Please hit the like button if you liked the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you in the next video.